Hello friends, welcome once again to another tutorial on the Pixelpal firmware. In this tutorial, we'll be talking about the ESP-IDF, the layout of the IDE, as well as the layout of the Pixelpal firmware. On display is the Pixelpal project repo on GitHub. To start off, at this point, it is assumed you've successfully downloaded and installed the ESP-IDF on your machine, whether Mac or Windows or Linux OS. Go ahead and download the repo from the GitHub, repo rather. You download the zip and unzip it into a folder of your choice within your machine. I already have the Pixelpal firmware downloaded, so I wouldn't do that once again. You go, I will initially quit Visual Studio Code. Go ahead and launch Visual Studio Code. Now on launching, I can see I already have the Pixelpal firmware opened. However, for your case, what you can do, if it's not already opened, you simply just click on File, Open Folder. It should take you to your File Explorer. You locate the folder where you installed or where you unzipped Pixelpal. Mine is over here, Pixelpal, and you go ahead and open. Upon opening, it should load up the firmware. As soon as you have the firmware opened, I would go ahead and describe the various features and layouts, both of the firmware as well as of the ESP-IDF. We will start off with the Explorer, which we have on the top left corner of the screen. The very first drop down is the Pixelpal file outline, or the Pixelpal firmware project files. You have multiple folders here. We would return back to this. It's from here you can inspect all the files or the build system. That's after successfully compiling the project. You have all the working files within this folder. Another drop down of interest is the project component, which we have over here. This lists all the components, both user created as well as those provided by ESP, provided by Expressive Systems. You can see all the components that make up the Pixelpal firmware. Some of these components can equally be found within the project file in the component folder, which we would treat later on. Still on the layout of the IDE, or rather describing the layout of the IDE, we have certain buttons at the bottom here, which while working or developing an app or configuring the Pixelpal firmware, you would interact with or make use of. Starting off, you can see the current ESP-IDF version you are working with at the moment. At the time of this recording, we are working with the version 5.5.3, which is written here. There's no point interacting with that at the moment. Another item of interest is the port on which your ESP-IDF, or rather on which your Pixelpal is connected. For the Mac OS, you should see the port described as shown below. Yours might be a bit different, but it follows this pattern. On a Windows machine, you'll see the port number. It could be port COM3, COM15, or 17. It usually follows that pattern. I can click on this. You can click on each of the button. Upon clicking, you would notice the pixel power restarted as shown in the bottom right corner of the screen. This is a normal behavior. The port is trying to identify the devices connected to my Mac, and it's able to identify the ESP-IDF connected. As soon as you do that, you select the port. Upon successful selection, you should see this success message here. It indicates your PixelPal device have successfully communication have successfully been established between the PixelPal and your machine, whether Mac or Windows. Over here, we see the particular SoC model we are working with, which is the ESP32S3. These settings or gear button here is the button you use when you want to configure the software development kit. I would click that. It should bring up a series of information. This particularly the user, there are two versions of the SDK configuration editor. This one is designed to be user-friendly. I would show you a different method to access all the menus here. However, it's advised you use this user-friendly interface in this because you can easily search for a particular parameter. For most of your development, you won't need to edit most of this. They've been pre-edited. Uh, except for advanced users, of course, who would want to change some parameters based on preference. For beginners, it's not advisable to change the parameters here. So I'll close that. This button is to clean up if a successful compilation or an unsuccessful compilation have been made and you wish to recompile the entire project based on certain parameters that have been changed either in the SDK configuration editor, you can go ahead and click this full clean button. Upon clicking that, it will get rid of the build system. We'll touch on this once again when we describe the file system of the PixelPal, or the file configuration rather. This button here, indicated by a spanner, is used to compile your project. I'll click that. The project had previously been compiled. You can see the system log being shown as your project compiles. Upon successful compilation, the lightning icon here is used to flash the project. This flashes the binary file into the PixelPal device. And to monitor the log or the system log coming from your PixelPal device, you click on this button. When we go about developing and compiling apps, you would see the use of this various button. This is for debugging, which is mainly for advanced users. And this particular button of interest is a combination of build, flash, and monitor. This icon symbolized by a fire. We equally have the ESP-IDF terminal. Okay, the program have compiled successfully. I can go ahead and flash it into my Pixelpal device, but I'll suspend the activity for later. Now you can equally access the menu config, which we did here. This is the user interface. You have the terminal, the ESP-IDF terminal here for installing new official or user contributed components from the ESP component registry. Or you can go ahead and launch the menu config from this terminal. Let's try that idf.py menu config. Upon launching this, it should bring up the console user interface for changing the configuration settings for your project. I wouldn't touch this. I'll just click quit or Q rather to exit. Does that. The next tutorial, this is quite long. The next tutorial will breeze through we'll go through the file system of the Pixelpal framework or projects. All these, the various files and folders within the project all have different purposes. However, there are those of particular concern to developers, which we'll touch on. See you in the next tutorial.